Hey friends, it's Sakuraco. So if you've ever wanted to come and visit Japan, then you probably know that one of the best things that you can do is to learn Japanese. It really does go a long way by learning even just a few basic key phrases in that language, that it will help you not only in communicating, but it will also help you kind of get a window into that country's culture. This video is going to be a message for anyone that is interested in learning Japanese, or if you've already begun your language journey. I am here to tell you the unfortunate truth that no matter how hard you study, you will probably never actually know Japanese. At least not as well as you think you will. There'll be times where you want to actually practice your Japanese with someone, and very often you'll probably get the reply, "Nihongo ga jouzu desu ne!" And that makes you feel really good inside. Unfortunately, half the time that actually means your Japanese is a bit... yeah. Japan has a term called Tateamae. Tateamae translates to public face, what one expresses to the public. This word is often accompanied by another word that they use called Honne, which means the real intention, what someone's true feelings are. Oh, are you leaving? You should stay a little longer. Finally, I thought you'd never leave. You know, it's been so long since we've hung out. We should catch up sometime. Yeah, I know, we should definitely hang out. I'm just a bit busy, but I don't want to seem rude. Wow, that outfit is a very new look on you. I think her mother might have dressed her. Did you see the baseball game last week? Oh, yeah. I mean, my baseball team hasn't been doing so great this year. They're still good enough to beat yours, though. Well, thank you for coming to dinner tonight. You must have thought the food was really good, huh? It's no wonder why you're so fat. Thank you for coming in. Have a nice day. And for wasting my time, you didn't buy a single thing? Really? I know what you're thinking. Aki, I have these things too in my country. I think this is a universal thing and depends on the person. And you'd be right. Every country in the world in some capacity has their own tatemae. But the thing that makes Japan different than most of them is because of the lack of sharing true emotions that there is. The fakeness just overshadows everything else, to the point that it becomes very difficult to tell who's genuine and who's not, and what a person's true feelings are. Confronting someone that upset you isn't really a thing here. Telling your boss that the company could do better isn't very common unless you're someone higher up. You would have a better time sharing a negative opinion in America because it can be seen as good criticism or maybe a topic for discussion.
Everybody knows you go to the basement for political opinion.
But Japan doesn't really work that way. Everything is about keeping the peace, even if that means suppressing your own emotions for the benefit of everyone else. And that's the main difference, is that it's just more common in Japan. It's more normalized here to put on a front and to be fake to everyone, to the point that you will never really know what somebody thinks about you.
Is there anything you don't like about Japan?
I will say Tateamae.
In Japan, they got this phrase, Honne and Tateamae.
Yeah. If I were non-native speaker of Japanese, I would be really afraid of like Japanese people.
English has its own rules. So for example, we have a thing called reading between the lines. You know when someone says a comment to you and you don't really take it at face value? Japan is the CEO of reading between the lines, and those lines, and those lines, and so on and so forth. There's a philosophy that every single person in the world has what's called 3 masks. One that you show with everyone, one that you show with loved ones like friends and family, and a third mask that you only keep to yourself. If I have a group of friends around me and I make an outfit and I ask them if they think that it's cute or not, when really that means, who dressed you? Tateamae actually comes from a good place, sort of. So from their perspective, it's more like, if you think it looks good, then who am I to say anything about it? Even if that means I have to lie to you. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about it either. And this all just goes back to preserving harmony. Learning Japanese is how to communicate. Learning Tateamae is understanding the meaning of it. You can go through Japanese school and study for 10 hours a day in your textbook and still never come across the word Tateamae. It's not something that anyone can really teach to you. It's something that just becomes a skill along the way just by living here. I've also just recently learned that apparently Kyoto, the most touristed prefecture in all of Japan, has the worst level of Tateamae more than any other prefecture in the country.
でも京都とかだと大変ですかね。京都行くとなんかヒーって思うことあるんで、
本当ですか？
やっぱレベルが全然違うんで、
本音と建前の。
京都の方と比べると全然まだまだなんで。
There is a whole card game dedicated to how difficult it is to understand what people in Kyoto are actually saying. It's called Kyoto Werewolf. I also found an entire television special where they even talked about how difficult it is to understand people in Kyoto.
遠回しに伝える京都のいけず文化。例えばですね、ポストです。不要なチラシを入れないでほしいことを伝えるとき、建前はちっちゃい郵便受けしかお返で済みません。
なんかいたわられてる
そうな
感じ
んですよ。
がします。
優しい感じもしますけれども、
素敵なそれが
ですが、本音はこちら。しょうもないチラシ入れんな迷惑やね。こういうことです。
強烈ですね。
強烈です。はい。
I first found this out by my friend who just moved from Kyoto. He was sitting at a restaurant and the waiter said, "Oh, you have a really nice watch." Now, what would you take that as? If you were to ask me, I'm going to probably take that at face value and be like, oh yeah, it's a really cool watch. Apparently what this meant in Kyoto was, hey, we're about to close. You should look at the time. Just tell me you're gonna close, dude. If I'm eating and someone says that to me, I'm just gonna take it at face value. I can't be bothered to keep reading between the lines like this. In worst case scenario, I'll just chill at home, eat my Sakuraco snacks, and continue on my day. I don't know. Look at this. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Looks like it's that time of year again where the pumpkin spice of Japan has invaded once again. Sakura-themed teas, Sakura-themed cakes, Sakura-themed donuts, Sakura cookies, Sakura cakes. I think I said that one already. Because cherry blossom season is just around the corner. It's one of the most anticipated times of the year. Many people in Japan are expected to hold picnics with friends as they enjoy viewing the sakura trees all over the country, because sakura season isn't actually as long as people think. And you too can have a very similar tasty experience with some Japanese Sakura-themed snacks through Sakuraco, a monthly subscription box that celebrates traditional Japanese artisan snacks while supporting local makers across Japan. Each box includes 20 carefully curated treats featuring authentic flavors, premium Japanese teas, and a unique piece of tableware, which in this case is a Sakura glass cup. Plus, you'll receive a cultural guide booklet packed with snack details, allergen information, and fascinating insights into Japanese culture. The box features a very nice sakura design to commemorate this special time of year, and my personal favorite treats were a tie between the sakura daifuku and the strawberry waffle cookie, paired with the sakura tea because instead of a tea bag, there's 3 little sakura petals that blossom when you add them to the water. I still to this day can't really describe the taste of sakura. It doesn't have a floral taste like you would expect, but it's a very distinct taste that's both sweet and salty. So if you want to see what that's like, you can try it by getting your own Sakuraco box by following the link in the description and using code AKI for $5 off your first order. Anyways, I've had a classic Tateamae moment where someone would say, this was a teacher when I was going to Japanese school, they would say, "Oh, Aki, are you cold?" That means I'm showing off too much skin. And I feel that this has always clashed with my American self, which is just about, just tell it to me straight, dude. Because in the Western world, a little bit of uncomfortableness is worth trying to improve yourself as a person. But in Japan, being someone super straightforward often pushes people away and can make you seem really rude and direct. So basically what I'm trying to say is that Tateamae is a part of the Japanese language and culture where putting on a polite mask is to keep the peace, even if that comes at the expense of suppressing your own emotions and taking a toll on your own mental health. So I know that this seems all very stressful and you may be wondering, how do I navigate through Tateamae? Number one, don't overthink it. Because there's no point in trying to figure out every single person's meaning behind what they're saying. Because at the end of the day, they're never going to tell you what they think anyway. Even if you pry it out of them, even if you want them to tell you straight up, a lot of the times you're just going to get even more white lies upon white lies. Because they are just not wired to offend you, even if that means you asked for it. Another way to get through Tateamae is using it back at them. Copy what they do. Or, in worst case scenario, the third option that you can always do that always just helps me in any stressful situation is just nodding, just doing this. Because again, in this country, silence speaks volumes. It is everything. I'll give you one more piece of advice, especially for all of my like super straightforward American friends out there. Tone down the bluntness. So with Tateamae, it allows everyone to be respectful and unified. Tateamae also in some ways helps with relationships. So in the Western world, saying things like I love you and expressing your feelings to someone is a way that we show that we care and what our feelings are for that person. But because Japan does not really expose their vulnerability to other people, in a relationship, Tateamae helps in other ways where they show their love by gestures or through action, because in this country, action especially speaks louder than words. Instead of saying I love you every day and before you're going out to work, instead someone would probably just make your coffee in the morning and quietly put it in front of you. That gesture in itself already speaks volumes. I even recently figured out that there's a famous phrase that was used in Japan to say I love you. Instead of saying the words I love you, the phrase was, the moon is pretty, isn't it? Oh, this is a very famous line in Japan that perfectly encapsulates Japanese culture. It is a very roundabout way of sharing your feelings without exposing your vulnerability. The speaker saying that the moon is pretty says a lot about their feelings without being so direct. So in a weird way, there is some beauty to it, but it's also a pain in the ass. So good luck on your Japanese. No, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's just one of those things that you just learn by continuing on, by learning another culture and a language no matter where you are. People work in different ways. Language works in different ways, and this is just Japan's. But this is something definitely I feel like would be really nice if people could like share this more in language schools or in textbooks. So that's what I mean when I say you will never know Japanese, at least not until you understand Tateamae, because learning the language goes way beyond a textbook. But cultures all over the world work in different ways, and I'm sure that many of you have been exposed to this, so feel free to educate all of us on your own culture or cultures that you've been exposed to that you think would be very useful for people traveling to your country. So that's all I have to share with you guys. Thanks guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.